Hey, it's Jack here from ROLI, and I'm here with Seaboard Maestro Heen.
What's up?
To answer your burning questions about Rise 2 and how it compares to the original Rise. We've had loads of questions from everyone, so let's get into it. So the main thing everyone's asked is, what's the difference between Seaboard Rise 2 and the old Seaboard Rise? Of course, it's no secret that Seaboard Rise 2 looks very similar to the Rise 49. We kept the 49 key waves, we kept the side panels on the side that let you adjust your macros and expressive settings. And the reason we did this is because Seaboard Rise 49 was by far our most popular Seaboard, really well beloved, still used by artists all over the world. We didn't want to completely restart from scratch. Instead, it's more like building on a modern classic. It's such a good balance between versatility and playability. There are lots of changes to the Rise 2 that aren't necessarily obvious on the surface, but actually will make a big difference to how you play. So let's take a deeper look at those. The biggest update to Rise 2, perhaps the one we're most proud of, is the new playing surface, which we call Keywave 2. And it's actually a dual change because externally we've changed the shape of the keywave, we've added precision frets and made other changes that we'll look at in more detail later. And we've also made internal changes. Our team has re-engineered the sensors inside the surface, so it's more responsive than ever before. Basically, it means if you're a piano player, you'll find the Seaboard more accessible and easier to pick up. And if you played a Seaboard before, you'll find this surface the most intuitive and accurate. So as well as changes to the key waves, Rise 2 comes with amazing software. The original Seaboard Rise came with Equator, our flagship MPE synth, but Rise 2 comes with Equator 2, which is an incredible piece of software that works with all kinds of controllers, but it really comes to life with Rise 2. Equator 2 is a hybrid synth, so it's amazing at generating electronic sounds from scratch, but you've also got a sampler and there are samples within it, so you can take amazing acoustic sounds and make them expressive. It has a huge library of over 1,400 presets, I think the largest MPE library out there. And what's great is that nearly every sound has been designed specifically with the Seaboard Rise 2 in mind, so they respond amazingly to the 5 dimensions of touch. Why don't you give us an example, Heen?
All right, let's check it out. So here we have Stereo Motion wavetable pad loaded up from Equator. Let's check out the 5 dimensions quickly. Let's strike, and then let's try press. Let's try slide. Try lift as well. Glide.
So as well as Equator 2, there's a whole bunch of other software you get with your Rise 2. You get ROLI Studio, which includes 2 plugins, ROLI Studio Player and ROLI Studio Drums, which are these very fun sound players that contain lots of composition tools to spark new ideas, including a multi-layered arpeggiator, smart chords, and the great thing about it is they can play all the sounds within Equator 2. And if you already have a Seaboard, you'll be familiar with ROLI Dashboard. This is the software where you can adjust all your MIDI settings, all your expressivity settings. You can make your Seaboard play more like a piano or be more expressive. We're updating ROLI Dashboard to include 5D visualizers to make it even easier to get those settings absolutely perfect. And of course, if you get Rise 2, you will get ROLI Dashboard. But if you already have a Seaboard, don't worry because we'll make these updates available to you as well. Just like the original Rise, the Seaboard Rise 2 has connection over Bluetooth and it also has a pedal port for a sustain pedal. But this time we added USB-C and we've also added a MIDI Out port. The MIDI Out port in particular was a highly requested feature because people wanted to connect to other hardware synths. And this just opens up all kinds of possibilities with synths like the Prophet 6 or Akai's MPC. He's going to give you a bit of a demo now with the Rise 2 plugged into Behringer's Neutron. Enjoy. And the final change for Rise 2, which of course many of you have noticed, is the new color of the chassis. Now, this color we call platinum blue, and it's an anodized aluminum chassis that is finished with a diamond blast, basically means it's scratch resistant, so great for any touring musicians out there. And the reason for the color, well, there's two. One is our team just loved it. We think it's great for the new generation of Seaboard. It really stands out. It's slightly unusual and it's futuristic. But there's a practical reason as well. And that's because many people were playing the original Seaboards in darkly lit studios or on darkly lit stages. So just having the contrast between the chassis and the playing surface just helps the playing surface stand out that little bit more, which is handy in a dark situation. Well, that's a good question. As well as all the other changes we've already talked about, there have been lots of updates under the hood that make Rise 2 the most durable and reliable Seaboard yet. Now, Seaboard RISE 49, it's still used by thousands of musicians all over the world, but that's not to say there weren't problems on some of them. We did have this occasional mistriggering issue where certain keys would play the wrong note. You'll be pleased to hear that that's been addressed with Rise 2. We've put a rigorous program of testing in place to make sure the sensor bed and the key waves are at the highest possible quality. We've also changed some suppliers, and we've made subtle but vital engineering changes internally. For instance, the USB-C port on Rise 2 is much more durable than it was on the previous Rise. Sure, let's take a deeper look at the shape of Keywave 2. Now, one of the reasons we changed the shape is because we often had feedback from Seaboard players that although they loved the surface, it wasn't always the best for getting very precise or accurate performances, especially when it came to pitch. And often people from piano backgrounds and other backgrounds also said that the learning curve to get started with Seaboard was too steep. So we wanted to try and address those things. So to do that, we invited professional piano players, other kinds of musicians, and the world's best Seaboard players like Heen here to our workshop to iterate on the designs of previous Seaboards and lots of new design ideas as well to bring you the best playing experience. And that's what I think we've got with Keywave 2. One of the key additions, which is very visible, are these precision frets. These are lines of silicon that sit in the middle of each key, and they behave a lot like a guitar fretboard. Basically, it means they give you tactile feedback as you play. What do you make of them, Heen?
It's actually really nice because, like, now I can actually play really fast things. Basically land on the center of a note straight away and just by feeling the frets. It's really helpful, actually.
And how does it compare to the previous Seaboards you've played, as someone who's played a lot of Seaboards?
I think the first Seaboard, you need to pay a lot of attention to the pitch as a player. Like, you have to dedicate a lot of bandwidth just following the pitch, hearing your notes. Whereas here, I can focus more back to the playing experience. So I know I can just play fast and land on the note, and you know, it'll be right at the center because I can feel the frets.
Yeah, those are good points. I think it's also worth mentioning that as well as the precision frets, we've made other subtle changes that make a big difference as you play. The top of each key wave here is a little bit wider, and these edges are more articulated. It just makes it easier to find each key, so every performance is that little bit better, and we've just tested this over and over and over again to get the best possible result. Of course, some things about the Seaboard RISE surface don't change. These ribbons on the top and bottom of the surface that let you slide pitch are still there. ROLI's been at the forefront of MPE sound creation from the very beginning, and the sounds in Equator 2 are no exception. So Heen's going to demo just a few of the presets available in Equator 2, just to give you a sense of the incredible variety on offer. Our team also release new sound packs all the time, covering everything from modern pop to techno rhythms to orchestral ensembles. So whatever your taste, there's presets out there for you. Of course, one of the strengths of Equator 2 is it's a fully fledged sound design tool, one of the most powerful out there on the market. With 4 types of synthesis available, including a sampler, you can create any kind of expressive sound you can imagine. Should definitely say that the RISE 2 also works fantastically with third-party sounds. Some of our favourite MPE presets come from Swam, Contact and Omnisphere, just to name a few. So a few of you have asked whether we're going to make a new Seaboard Block or an 88-key version of the RISE. For the foreseeable future, we're going to focus on 49 keys. We surveyed ROLI creators and the Seaboard RISE 49 was by far the most popular size and the clear preference. Thanks for that question. So it's certainly true that ROLI reformed as Luminary ROLI in 2021, and that some, but not all, of the team also work on our learning piano Lumi. However, ROLI's been so pivotal to the MPE story from the very beginning, and it's thanks to the Seaboard, Equator, and many of the things we've done that MPEs have started to become adopted across the whole industry. For example, Ableton have now made their latest version of their DAW MPE compatible. So we're so proud of that history, and because of that, we're going to keep on developing new hardware like the RISE 2, new software like Equator 2, well into the future. Great, well, hopefully that's answered most of your questions about Seaboard RISE 2, and you can see why we think it's the best Seaboard we've ever made. If you have any more questions, please keep them coming, just leave them in the comments, we'd love to answer them. If you like what we do on this channel, and especially if you like Heen's amazing Seaboard performances, please subscribe to the ROLI channel. There's only one thing less for us to do, that's for Heen to play us out.